All right, Brooke, thanks so much. Still so much to get to right here on Morning in America. Next hour starts now.
We're not asking to join the billionaire class. We're asking for our fair share of the fruits of our labor.
Breaking overnight, thousands of United Auto Workers are on strike against America's biggest automakers and walking the picket lines. We're live in Detroit with their historic new strike strategy and what's keeping the union, GM, Stellantis, and Ford from making a deal. Plus, Virginia Congressman Bob Good joins us live. His take on the federal indictment against the president's son. Also, the battle in the House against Speaker Kevin McCarthy and which side of the fight he's on. And today is National POW MIA Recognition Day, honoring the thousands of American service members who are unaccounted for but never forgotten.
Each of the more than 81,000 unaccounted for personnel represent a family that has not received the answers that they need.
This morning, how far our country will go to make sure these brave men and women are found and remembered, no matter how long it takes. Also, an update on Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers and his season-ending injury. He's already said he'll rise again, and now the move he just took to make sure he can continue in the NFL. It's Morning in America.
Definitely good news with Aaron Rodgers. People are wanting that good news.
Yeah, and those fans. I can't imagine the season opener. Just a few minutes of play.
Absolutely.
Gosh.
From our NewsNation headquarters in America's heartland, it's time for news for all America.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. Let's get straight to it. We're following several developing stories this Friday morning. After no deal was reached, union auto workers are now on the picket lines. They're striking. Thousands walking off the job in a historic strike against Detroit's big three automakers. So Kelsey Kernstein is live in the Motor City with a look at those economic impacts.
Plus, reaction as the president's son is facing federal indictment charges on felony gun. This being the latest legal trouble for Hunter Biden. Now, Tom Dempsey has a look at the potential prison time he could face if convicted.
Plus, one Arizona sheriff is calling on the state and federal government for support. He's hoping to create new solutions to the already overwhelmed immigration system. Allie Bradley is live in Arizona with those details. All of those stories and a lot more still ahead. But first, have to mention this. Next week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky plans to meet with President Biden. Both are scheduled to address the UN General Assembly in New York come Tuesday. At this hour, it remains unclear if that meeting is going to take place in New York or it's going to take place at the White House later on in the week. Zelensky is expected to visit Capitol Hill again to appeal for more military humanitarian support. And you probably remember he was in Washington back in December. That was his first time leaving his country of Ukraine since that invasion began.
He actually did that speech in uniform, and it meant so much to the Ukrainian people. New York's Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers now has months of rehab ahead after undergoing surgery to repair his torn Achilles tendon. Rodgers posting on Instagram that Wednesday's surgery went great, and he's on the road to recovery. The 39-year-old tore his Achilles on the Jets' fourth snap of the season on Monday night. This was his debut with the team. He signed through 2025 and expected to return next season.
Yeah, calling his doctor the GOAT. Well, this rocket streaking across the skies of Southern California, surprising a lot of people in that region, in this area, who looked up and saw this. Well, it turns out it was a U.S. Space Force mission launched by Firefly Aerospace. So the so-called Victus Nox spacecraft took off from Vandenberg Space Force Base. Say that 5 times.
Right, exactly.
Space Force Base Thursday night, and its goal was to demonstrate the nation's ability to quickly respond to on-orbit needs during a national security threat. Oh,
yeah, look at that. That was Shaq. That was Shaquille O'Neal. The Los Angeles Port Police calling in the big guy for backup. NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal, who once served as a reserve officer for the force, joining the agency in his push to recruit new officers. Shaq started his stint at the L.A. Port PD in 2002 before being sworn in as a sheriff's deputy in Jonesboro, Georgia in 2016.
Wow. And look how he just dwarfs everybody else.
Loves it,
yeah.
And he loved it too. Hey, cool. Breaking overnight, the United Auto Workers are on strike this morning after months of negotiations with the big three automakers, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, hit a roadblock. President Biden will speak on the strike and negotiations today.
And you can see workers are already walking off the job when that clock struck midnight, and they joined in solidarity on the picket lines. That's where we find our Kelsey Kernstein live from the Ford, Michigan assembly plant in suburban Detroit. Kelsey, you've been talking to folks there on the ground. What do they continue to share with you?
You know, Markie, these workers out here telling me that they have seen these companies make profits, and they want to see the profits too. They're fed up, they're frustrated. They say they deserve more, they deserve better. It is cold out here. They've been out here striking for the last 8 hours. 13,000 workers, they are on strike at a plant in Ohio, here in Michigan, and also Missouri. And this is a historic strike. This is something we've never seen in 88 years. The union striking against all three of the big three automakers. And joining me now to tell me a little bit more about this is Angela Alexander. You've been working at the company at Ford assembly plant here in Michigan for the last 25 years. What is it like being a part of this history?
It's very exciting. I never thought I'd be a part of this, for sure. I'm glad that we're finally standing up and trying to get what we deserve.
What is it exactly do you feel that you guys deserve? I know that you guys are saying that you want double-digit wage increases and elimination of tiered payments. What else do you guys want?
That's basically it. We just want to be treated fairly. Ford has been a wonderful company to work for. When I hired in, they paid awesome wages. It was unbelievable to get into Ford. It was a big deal. Now to get into Ford, it's like it's a good job, but it's not. It doesn't support us like it used to. We gave up a lot actually years ago just to keep Ford from not taking the bailout. And we did that happily to help Ford out. And then we were promised, oh, well, we'll give it back to you. And so we're ready to take it back. And we want the end of tiers. We don't think it's fair that these kids coming in now are working next to us and not making the same amount of money. They need to support families too.
Exactly. I know they've been making $16 to $17 an hour. Angela, thank you so much for your time. And of course, we have reached out to the big three. Ford responding with a statement saying, hey, we've been bargaining in good faith, and they are worried about how this is going to affect the economy, the American economy, and the automakers here in the United States. But the union's saying we've got $825 million in a strike fund that we are ready to go. We'll be out here until they get what they want. Nick?
Kelsey, thank you so much. We'll continue to follow that story. Developing this morning, Hunter Biden is facing criminal charges for allegedly lying on paperwork to buy a gun. It comes as President Joe Biden tries to focus on holding the White House and fighting the legal perils of an impeachment inquiry. These charges, the first for a president's child, are not the only ones he could be facing. Tom Dempsey is live in D.C. Tom, a gun purchased by Hunter Biden in 2018 could land him behind bars for decades.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. It's important to note, though, that Hunter Biden could still face more charges moving forward, specifically with tax violations. And this morning, we're seeing more reactions come down. One Republican coming out saying that this indictment could be the first of many against the Biden family.
This morning, a 4-page federal indictment details gun charges against Hunter Biden. Special counsel David Weiss accuses Biden of failing to disclose drug use when trying to buy a gun and for unlawfully having the gun while being an addict, writing that Hunter Biden claimed to not be using or addicted to illegal drugs, quote, when in fact, as he knew that statement was false and fictitious. The charges date back to 2018 when Hunter Biden tried to buy a Colt Cobra revolver. In his memoir released 2 years ago, Biden wrote of past drug problems, including using crack cocaine multiple times. An attorney for the president's son fired back against the charges, writing in a statement, quote, Hunter Biden possessing an unloaded gun for 11 days was not a threat to public safety, but a prosecutor with all the power imaginable, bending to political pressure presents a grave threat to our system of justice. The president's fellow Democrats also took swipes at the other side.
I think our Republican colleagues would probably be demanding that the charges be dropped if it were don't believe in gun charges.
Republicans, though, highlighted the failed plea deal earlier this year that would have allowed Hunter Biden to avoid jail time and the congressional testimony from IRS whistleblowers accusing the Justice Department of slow-walking the investigation.
How long does it take these guys at the DOJ to do their job? Okay? How long has it been now? We've known this, and they were going to do nothing. It takes a special counsel to prosecute somebody for a felony gun charge.
The charges against Hunter Biden set up a possible trial next year in the heat of the presidential election season, bringing unwanted attention for President Biden, who shied away from comments after the indictment came down.
There's a lot more I know we could talk about. I wish I had a chance to take all your questions, but I'm going to get in real trouble if I do that.
Of the charges against Hunter Biden, the most serious one carries with it a maximum of 10 years behind bars and fines of up to $250,000. Guys.
Tom Dempsey, thanks so much. From D.C. this morning, we want to now bring in Virginia Republican Congressman Bob Good, now on the show to weigh in. Congressman, it's good to have you, sir.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
I got you on a few different topics today, so we're about to cover some ground. Let's start with yesterday's indictment. Many of your Republican colleagues don't seem satisfied with the charges. Some, the James Comers of the world, calling them a very small start. How do you see it?
Well, certainly Hunter Biden ought to be treated like everyone else, and he ought to be prosecuted appropriately for the crimes that he has committed. We know that has not been the case. And what it's always been about, however, is Joe Biden and the try to cover up of Hunter Biden's crimes in order to protect the president. Time and again, we've got testimony from individuals who said who were involved in the investigation, this eyewitness testimony, these whistleblower testimonies, and they were stalled or prohibited from pursuing anything that led to President Biden himself when he was vice president. So certainly Hunter Biden ought to be indicted. He ought to be charged appropriately for whatever he may be guilty of. But, you know, it's rich for his attorney, Abbe Lowell, to say, hey, you've got a corrupt prosecutor with unimaginable power caving to political pressure, and what kind of a danger and a threat that presents to us. Certainly that is rich coming from someone representing the Bidens when the Biden Justice Department is guilty of that. You've got Merrick Garland on down, and it does illustrate the fact that it is true that when those in power are willing to abuse it for political reasons, it is a terrible danger to our culture and our country, one of the greatest harms perpetrated by this Biden administration.
Yeah, and Abbe Lowell, that statement that you're talking about, he did put out that statement accusing special counsel David Weiss of bending to political pressure with the charges, and he wrote this. He said, quote, "The evidence in this matter has not changed in the last 6 weeks, but the law has, and so has MAGA Republicans' improper and partisan interference in this process." How do you respond to that quote from Mr. Lowell?
Well, I want to point out that Hunter Biden remember the plea agreement was admitting to millions of dollars in foreign income. And Joe Biden, in addition to lying to the American people on the eve of the election when he said that he'd never talked to his son about his business dealings. He's the only father in the country who never talks to his son about what he does for a living or about his work. But he also said that no one in his family had made any money off of China, and he was trying to implicate President Trump during the debate, which of course was dishonest. And now we've got Hunter Biden, we know now, was pleading, making a plea agreement to admitting to the tax evasion charges for foreign income, millions of dollars, and not to mention the fact that there's growing evidence, of course, that the president himself was being enriched by these foreign business dealings, specifically as it relates to Ukraine.
Yeah, and I know President Trump and again, Representative Comer both pointing out yesterday that it's interesting that in this indictment, this is the one crime that you can't directly tie President Biden to. The other question being floated out yesterday, you think there's any chance that we see President Biden pardon his own son?
I would think that might be a possibility. It's hard to imagine what President Biden might do. President Biden regularly lies to the country. He lies almost every day about just small things, that whether he can't remember things, he repeats the same lies over and over. You know, it was interesting. He says the promo that you had going, or the piece you had running right before I came on, he said, I can't answer more questions or I'll get in trouble. I guess he means get in trouble with his staff, but what it really means, they don't want him to get into further legal trouble because of we may be on the verge of the greatest political scandal in the history of the country. When has the sitting president ever been credibly accused of, again, the prosecutor himself in Ukraine, the investigator who was fired, testifying to that effect, that I believe the president accepted bribes, shook down Burisma for money in exchange for getting that prosecutor fired.
Yeah, Congressman, we'll see where that investigation heads from here. Let's pivot here. Meanwhile, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has come under attack in recent weeks by some of your own fellow House Freedom Caucus members. He's under pressure to cut spending for the upcoming fiscal year to a level $120 billion below what he and President Biden agreed on. Are you in favor of removing McCarthy as Speaker and putting forth a motion to vacate challenge?
Well, I want to put that in perspective. $120 billion. That's what the Speaker committed to in order to ascend to the position of Speaker back in January. The conference gave him the required votes to do that. The House did, I should say. And then he led Republicans, actually adopted the Freedom Caucus position. We all voted for that $120 billion cut in April. And then the Speaker has not kept his word to that effect. He has not led. He's been MIA. He's been absent in this process. He's the only one who can corral the 218 votes to meet that commitment that we made. There's been other commitments that have been broken. He committed that we would impeach Mayorkas. He committed we would vote on term limits, that we'd vote on a balanced budget. We haven't done any of those things. But $120 billion, as you noted, we are running a $150 billion monthly deficit. We're on track with the Republican House to be a $2 trillion deficit this year. That's an embarrassment to Republicans. It's a failure to address the nation's fiscal situation that we ran on. And so the Speaker needs to lead us to pass our 12 bills, properly fund our government, implement Republican priorities, cut spending as he committed to and as we all voted to back in April. And then it's up to Schumer whether or not he wants to have a Schumer shutdown.
Yeah. And Congressman, if you would, because I'm so interested about yesterday, I keep saying, oh, to be a fly on the wall in that closed door meeting that you had that apparently got fiery. McCarthy reportedly hurled an expletive at you, basically saying, bring it on, challenging him to remove him as Speaker. What was that like in your reaction when you heard him say that?
Well, admittedly, I came to the meeting a little bit after that. In Congress, you typically have multiple things going on at once. So I arrived late to the meeting, and I expected the meeting to be about the investigation of the Biden crime family. But apparently before the meeting, the Speaker got up and said those remarks, and it's been reported widely by members in the media to whom it was leaked, I guess. But I would just say that weak leaders, when they don't know what to do, when they don't have a plan, and when they're insecure, they resort to tough-sounding talk and profanity and things like that as some kind of a substitute for leadership. That's not what we need. What we need is the Speaker to do what only he can do with the bully pulpit he has, with the leadership position he's been entrusted to, which is get everyone to come together, pass our spending bills, send them to the Senate, and then, there will be a negotiated process once that takes place. The final product may not be something that's to my liking or someone else's liking, but at least we have a chance at the table if he leads the conference to do what we voted to do back in April.
And we are on the verge of triggering a government shutdown. Congressman, do you want to see that happen? Is that about to happen for us?
No, I have said that we shouldn't fear that in the sense that we make bad decisions or pass bad legislation or fail to cut our spending because of there might be a pause in what's non-essential federal operations. 85% of the government continues. Only about 15% of it is there a pause. Most Americans won't notice it apart from media coverage or apart by the administration's efforts to try to make it as painful as possible. But we can still pass our appropriation bills soon, if not by 9:30, certainly shortly thereafter. Send them to the Senate, and then it's up to the Senate and the White House not shut the government down.
Okay, Congressman, I gotta get one more in before I let you go. Let's talk about impeachment inquiry. Recent polling shows that the American public and also some of your Republican colleagues are not quite sold on this impeachment effort. An ABC News Ipsos poll from August showing that just 39% of respondents were in favor of launching this impeachment inquiry into President Biden. My question to you, are you worried that this could end up costing your party the 2024 election or give President Biden a shot in the arm at a time when he and Trump seem to be neck and neck?
Cutting our spending to save the nation fiscally shouldn't be about politics. Pursuing justice, holding the executive branch, the president accountable, shouldn't be about politics. The bottom line, the president should be impeached because of the border invasion that he's purposefully, intentionally, willfully facilitating. We ought to have this inquiry to get answers to the questions the Department of Justice has been trying to deny us. This impeachment inquiry gives greater power to get the answers to questions the American people should have and may have, most Americans would have. And, again, when in the history of the country has the sitting president accused of bribery and making, some have estimated up to $100 million his family off corrupt business dealings, influence peddling, and again, bribery, which is one of the crimes listed specifically in the Constitution for impeachment.
All right. Well, we will leave it there. Certainly a lot going on for you in D.C. Congressman Bob Good, thanks so much, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Well, still ahead on Morning in America, an Arizona sheriff addressing frustrated residents as migrant street releases overwhelm their communities. But a key federal agency was notably absent and sparking a dispute with law enforcement. We're live, straight ahead.
My decision-making process relies on extensive data analysis and aligning with the company's strategic objectives.
Okay,
Attractive
who is she?
And welcoming, one way to describe this AI robot.
Ma'am?
She's helping run a beverage company. Some think it may be creepy. Some say it's sort of cool. A look at what your future coworker could look like. Straight ahead.
No.
Yeah.
With the eyes.
Yeah, there
That's
you
a
go.
no, sir.
But she wouldn't need a break.
Morning in America is brought to you by Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Meet the future. A chef, a designer, and an engineer. All learning to save and spend their money with Chase. The chef's cooking up first with her new debit card.
Hungry?
Uh-huh. The designer's eyeing sequins, plaid. While mom is eyeing his spending. Nice. And the engineer? She's taking control with her own account for college. 3 futures, all with Chase. Freedom for kids, control for parents. One bank for both. Chase, make more of what's yours.
With thyroid eye disease, I hid from the camera, and I wanted to hide from the world. For years, I thought my TED was beyond help. But then, I asked my doctor about Tepezza.
Tepezza is the only medicine that treats TED at the source, not just the symptoms. In a clinical study, more than 8 out of 10 patients taking Tepezza had less eye bulging. Tepezza is an infusion. Patients taking Tepezza may have infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you experience high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. Before getting Tepezza, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant. Tepezza may raise blood sugar even if you don't have diabetes and may worsen IBD such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
Now, I'm ready to be seen again.
Visit mytepezza.com to find a TED eye specialist and to see Bridget's before and after photos.
Behold, a new breed, ready to swarm, ready to sting. The defiant, power-packed, all-new hybrid electric Dodge Hornet RT. Performance electrified.
Mornings. The golden hour of cold and flu symptoms.
I'm feeling better.
Cough? Congestion?
All in one and done with new Mucinex Kickstart.
Oh, hated that. Headache? Better. Fever, body pain.
Better now.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. It's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season.
You didn't live this strong, this long to get put on the shelf like a porcelain doll. If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, you can build new bone with Evenity. Ask your doctor if you can do more than just slowing down bone loss with Evenity. Want stronger bones? Then build new bone. Evenity can help in just 12 months. Evenity is proven to reduce spine fracture risk by 73%.
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a cardiovascular problem. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions and low blood calcium have occurred. Tell your doctor about jawbone problems, as they have been reported with Evenity, or about pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred.
Don't let a break put you on a shelf. Talk to your doctor about building new bone with Evenity.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices. DuckDuckGo comes with a built-in search engine, but it doesn't spy on your searches. And our browser blocks creepy ads that follow you around from Google and other companies. And it's free. Download DuckDuckGo today.
Welcome back to Morning in America. Community leaders and law enforcement in southern border states are coming together to address a growing issue, street releases and a lack of resources in rural areas. But the federal government and Border Patrol were noticeably absent. Now, those two agencies are being called out for not attending what those officials call an opportunity to work together. Allie Bradley is live in Bisbee, Arizona this morning. Allie, officials are saying this is much bigger than those street releases.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's an opportunity for them to get together here, and those community leaders really shifting the focus off of all of those migrants that are being released into small communities like here in Bisbee. There are no resources here, Nick. And so leaders are now focusing on the federal government, who is notably absent in all of this. And so lawmakers and law enforcement individuals have been talking about the southern border and the issues down here, and they pointed to the current policies as the reason for this current influx we're seeing. And agents are implementing those policies on a regular basis. But the Border Patrol agency was nowhere to be found during that news conference in Cochise County yesterday, where the sheriff there has regularly said the only way through this issue is together, state, local, and federal. Sheriff Daniels telling me that he invited Border Patrol to stand united with them, and only about an hour before the news conference, he was notified that they would not be coming.
Damn it, we all serve the same people. They should be here talking to you, just like we are. I'm so disappointed to hear that they could not come. And like I told them, I will address that. They should stand in front of you just like we are. I've been beat up in the last 24 hours on these street releases like everybody here, but we're here today facing you and going to face the public.
Okay, so Nick, when it comes to these street releases over the last 2 days, we've seen around 1,200 people released in counties like Cochise County and Pinal County, which is just to our north, and Santa Cruz County, which is our neighboring county here. And we're also seeing this happen in San Diego as well. Now, CBP, of course, talking about these staggering numbers, obviously want to work with this community. Sheriff Daniels working with the governor and the senators as well to try to get more resources, Nick.
Sheriff Daniels clearly frustrated. You could hear it in his press conference. But how is Border Patrol responding to the criticism?
I should note here, Sheriff Daniels obviously commending the agents who are working down here, but he says the agency otherwise is absent, right, in those logistical areas. Now, CBP telling me that they are safely and efficiently processing these individuals, saying that what is happening, what we're seeing with these street releases is according to plan for those decompression efforts. Now, when I asked them why they were not in attendance to that news conference yesterday, Nick, they said that was a decision made at the top in Washington, D.C.
And clearly frustrating those who are seeing these people on their streets. Allie, thank you so much. Well, coming up this morning, you may recognize him as the goalie from the classic Mighty Ducks movie, or Josh in the film Heavyweights. Ahead, we're joined by actor Shaun Weiss as he opens up about his battle with drug addiction and his new lease on life. And Kim Jong-un visits a fighter jet plant in Russia. The latest developments on his meetings with President Putin as America's adversaries talk weapons. And today, we honor prisoners of war and service members missing in action on POW MIA Recognition Day. We're highlighting the hard work being done to find and identify all of them. They will not be forgotten.
I used to think all doctors were the same. Then I switched to Oak Street Health. You see, this isn't your typical doctor's office. Instead of waiting around for me to get sick, they focus on keeping me healthy and feeling good. Hey, still got it.
Zion. No sugar, right?
And the best part, everyone at Oak Street Health is experienced with people my age.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you with a focus on keeping you healthy. So don't wait. Call today.
Zion, we're ready for you.
Here people get to know me the old-fashioned way.
By listening.
This guy takes all the notes, so my doctor is all eyes on me, and I'm never rushed out.
Ready to go?
We get to know you better with longer appointment times, including same-day and next-day appointments.
Everyone gets their own personal care team. Hey, whether it's doctors, nurses, social workers, mental health support, even someone to help me understand my Medicare benefits. They all work together for me, myself, and I. Not to mention a 24/7 patient support line.
We customized a plan for him, and we can do the same for you.
Getting the care you need has never been easier because our team members work together to handle all your healthcare needs.
And you get all this for no extra cost. They even gather all your medical records and health history. So switching to their doctors is easy. And you can keep living your life your way.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you. Call 800-637-1959 to schedule a visit and see why we are the only primary care provider to carry the AARP name. Oak Street Health.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. Unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
Straight ahead in this half hour, a salute to the soldiers captured by our enemies. We are sitting down one-on-one with a former prisoner of war who survived 6 years in a communist camp.
And it's no secret many of our government leaders are aging. And this morning, a doctor weighs in on whether this poses a risk to our national security.
And a showdown between a newly popular singer and his concert venue. Why Oliver Anthony is telling his fans not to buy tickets to his show. And I think once you hear it, it won't be surprising.
It will make sense to you, exactly.
Exactly. Hey, here's a look at some of the other stories we'll be talking about today and this weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about this. New video shows North Korea's Kim Jong-un visiting an aircraft plant today. Now, during his trip to Russia and meeting with President Putin. He's already toured other weapons and technology sites. U.S. officials are warning that Russia and North Korea are actively advancing in a potential arms deal, with Pyongyang supplying weapons for Moscow to use in the war against Ukraine in exchange for ballistic missiles. And the Consumer Product Safety Commission and toy company Buffalo Games are recalling the Chuckle and Roar Ultimate Water Beads. I want you to take a look at this on your screen because kids are definitely using them this summer. One infant died after swallowing the water beads, which grow when they are wet. The toy was sold at Target stores from March to November of 2022. Now, parents are advised to contact the company for a full refund and stop using the toy immediately. There's no horsing around here. A man in California was arrested after being caught riding a horse drunkenly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was allegedly seen with an open container of alcohol when police approached him. Now, following his arrest, video footage later showed the officer driving slowly alongside the riderless horse, guiding it home.
Shouldn't it be like an HUI, horsing under the influence?
But, you know, I do feel like you put those animals at risk when you do stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And everybody else driving on the road.
Yeah. I want you to meet Mika. She could be working with us.
My decision-making process relies on extensive data analysis and aligning with the company's strategic objectives.
I want you to know, Mika, NewsNation is an inclusive environment, and there is a job here for you. That is Mika, the robot CEO leading a drinks company over in Poland. Her duties include identifying and choosing artists to design custom bottles. The company president saying that she is bringing a great advantage for the company, but humans still make the big decisions.
Yeah, it's going to be a no.
I don't know. She seems like
I miss like the 90s when we didn't have Mika, robots, deep fakes.
There's nothing wrong with that. I've worked with many a robotic
over
anchor.
It.
Anyway, today, a national salute today for men and women who were captured by enemies while fighting for our country and those who are still missing in action. The third Friday of September is designated each year as National POW MIA Recognition Day. It's a day to show appreciation to our military heroes who endured the worst imaginable conditions while in combat, while remembering those who never returned home from the battlefields. The Pentagon estimates more than 81,000 U.S. service members are still missing. Let's bring in Captain Charlie Plum, a former prisoner of war who survived an agonizing 2,103 days, to be exact, in prison. He's also a graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, a former jet fighter pilot, and a combat veteran with 74 successful missions over in Vietnam. Good morning, sir, and thank you for your service.
Good morning, Nick. Thanks for helping tell me my story.
Absolutely. Captain Plum, let's jump right in there because I think a lot of people at home may not even know why it's important that we recognize POWs and MIAs and why it is important that we actually find every service member who ever served. On your 75th mission, 5 days before you were scheduled to return home, you were shot down over enemy territory, captured and tortured. What did you do to fight for your life for almost 6 years while held in a community war prison?
I prayed a lot, that's for sure. But I also went back through my mind. You know, when you have nothing to do, no books to read, no windows to look out, no TV, television, not a pencil or a piece of paper for 2,103 days, your mind gets very creative. You know, you can actually think back through your history and think of all the things that you've done. And then you think forward and think, what is going to be when I finally get home, when I finally see my wife and loved ones again. So you do a lot of things personally, but collectively, and I think this is really the key to our success, collectively, we formed a team over there better than anyone I'll ever play on. We had leadership there better than any I'll ever see. Leaders that couldn't see us or hear us or fire us or hire us or give us a bonus or a day off. These were the guys that set they set the stage, they set the rules.
Captain Plum, you leaned on 3 of your fellow soldiers to survive and sustain. How did they help you through it? You talked about this teamwork. Break it down for us.
Well, first of all, a lot of those guys would tell you that I saved their life, and I know they saved mine just by being there for me. When you're in solitary confinement, especially if it's dark, you lose track. You don't have a sounding board. Sometimes you even wondered if you were alive or dead. Just a guy tapping on a wall on the other side, shave and a haircut, and you tap back 6 picks. It gave you a feeling that somebody cared, and somebody was approaching you physically. You were tapping, they were tapping, and so you knew you were real and you were alive. So it meant a lot just to communicate with the other guys.
Captain Plum, I know because you weren't there, you've had these conversations when you actually were able to return home. What was it like for your family for those 2,100 days? And what are families of POWs or service members missing in action feeling today?
Nick, I think it's worse on them than it was on us. Every day I knew I was alive. Every day I was confident that I would be coming home someday and be better than ever. While my wife and family didn't know from one day to the next if I would ever come home. And if I did, would I be a burden to them for the rest of my life? And unfortunately, the government and civilian psychiatrists and psychologists felt that this kind of a situation would give us a great deal of PTSD. And it turned out that only 4% of the prisoners of war came back with PTSD. And in fact, there's a new term called post-traumatic growth, PTG, that you can actually thrive in situations that are stressful.
Captain Plum, I've got less than 30 seconds, but I need you to close us out with why people at home need to recognize why it's so important that we find our POWs and MIAs.
As you know, Nick, the military genre is no man left behind. And we left a lot of guys behind, as a matter of fact. We're hunting for them. We hope, that someday that they might be alive and come home. But it's really vital, I think, that no man is left behind.
Captain Plum, thank you so much, sir, for your service. And those who are missing and those who are prisoners of war will never be forgotten. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Nick.
Gosh, we salute him.
And this is what I talk about. We talk about my military service. I loved it, but I never went through anything like this. And this is why I talk about the men and women who serve and who really sacrifice all are the ones to be recognized and commended.
Yeah, well, you all gave everything.
Captain Plum, sir, I cannot wait to meet you.
Yeah, in person. We want to get him here in studio. More to come on Morning in America, everybody. There's been growing concern that America's political leaders are too old to serve. That's been the big question as of late. So coming up, a neurologist explains why a new study says aging politicians could be a national security threat.
This is not just online scheduling. This is vaccines made easy for those who've got plans.
Dry skin is sensitive skin too, and it's natural. Treat it that way. Aveeno Daily Moisture with prebiotic oat is proven to moisturize dry skin all day. You'll love our formula for face too. Aveeno.
At Consumer Cellular, our customer service team is based here in America.
America?
America.
From sea to shining sea.
Beautiful.
Whenever you're hungry, there's a deal on the Subway app. Buy 1 footlong, get one 50% off in the Subway app today.
Now that's a deal worth celebrating.
Man, what are you doing? Get it before it's gone on the Subway app.
My mental health was much better, but I struggled with uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia. TD can be caused by some mental health meds.
And it's unlikely to improve without treatment. I felt like my movements were in the spotlight.
Ingrezza is a prescription medicine to treat adults with TD movements. Ingrezza is different. It's the simple, once-daily treatment proven to reduce TD that's #1 prescribed. People taking Ingrezza can stay on their current dose of most mental health meds. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to any of its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including sleepiness. Don't drive, operate heavy machinery, or do other dangerous activities until you know how Ingrezza affects you. Other serious side effects include potential heart rhythm problems and abnormal movements.
It's nice. People focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about #1 prescribed once daily Ingrezza. Learn how you could pay as little as $0 at Ingrezza.com.
Are you feeling like you've lost your edge? That your energy level has dropped? And you're less interested in doing the things that make you a man? Then you need Rut Testosterone Booster from Bucked Up. It's a fact that men's testosterone levels start to drop as we get older. But Rut is the natural way to regain your edge and get back to feeling like a man. Rut's testosterone boosting formula kickstarts energy levels, fuels strength, stamina, and lean muscle growth. Rut is flying off the shelves at GNC and Vitamin Shop, but you can get a free bottle by texting right now.
I'm telling you, Rut has been an absolute game changer for me. I've got more energy, more drive. I'm feeling better than I did in my 20s.
As a former pro athlete, I'm always looking for an edge. Whether it's more effective workouts, or better recovery, or even staying alert and focused during meetings, Rut definitely gives me that advantage.
Get your free bottle by texting GAME to 312-345.
We've been talking about this one a lot lately, and there's growing concern that many of America's leaders in Washington are just too old to serve. This is a new study from the RAND Corporation finds that people with security clearances who have dementia could be a real threat to national security.
Yeah, right now, more than 100 members of Congress age 70 and older, 34 in the Senate, and 77 in the House. Earlier this morning, we spoke with board-certified neurologist Dr. Tom Pitts about this study.
The reason why this could be especially damning for national security is because there is loss of inhibition. I mean, they may say yes when they mean no. They may not be able to hold secrets. There may be more impulsivity, lack of inhibition. There can be sleep disturbances and hallucinations that confound decision-making, such as who to talk to, who not to talk to. And certainly, you see that they can be influenced. Like, I think it was Dianne Feinstein, where literally her aide or whoever is like, vote yes. Literally on an open mic, vote yes. And she goes, okay, yes. And so those are some of the many reasons why national security specifically can be compromised in this setting.
And to be clear to our viewers, Dr. Pitts, neither you or I are suggesting that either of our senators have been diagnosed with dementia in any way. We're simply talking about how this does affect older Americans. There are 34 senators at 70 and older, and 77 House members are 70 and older. And what age does dementia most often begin to occur? And given those numbers, do you believe it's likely some Congress members with security clearances could possibly have dementia?
Oh, yeah. And I'll just be very clear about it because, we live in like a mealy-mouthed world here. Many of them have dementia. I watch them and I'm like, oh, the word finding, the confusion, the out of context answers, I got sandbagged. It meant, they fill in the meaning for that after. He didn't know what he was saying when he said that. I'm talking to McConnell after his last TIA or seizure, which is also being denied by their physicians. you know, 65 is when it happens. That's the magic number. Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia, followed by Lewy body dementia. Then there's Parkinson's-related dementia. 65 is the magic number. Early onset is considered to be 55. So they're way over the hump where they could be in the dementia range. Absolutely.
Dr. Pitts, before I run out of time, I got to ask you, though, well, what do you do? If someone is displaying signs of dementia, how and when do you tell them, hey, it's time to stop working?
Oh, they get a neurologic evaluation and then they're kicked out of office. That's how it works. I mean, that's what we would do for a pilot who couldn't remember coordinates. That's what we would do for a physician, right? I mean, come on. So I just think that the nature of their job, we're not talking about someone who's doing just a day job at a general store or something like that. Just a national security. So once you're found to have dementia, that is not compatible with holding that office, in my opinion.
And Dr. Pitts, when you referenced Dr. Dianne Feinstein needing her aide to give her that answer, that was definitely concerning for a number of people, just as it was when Mr. McConnell seemed to just space out there for a second. Dr. Pitts, thank you so much for explaining it all to us this morning. And part of that RAND study also mentioned that aging military veterans could be susceptible to security breaches because of a higher dementia risk associated with traumatic brain injuries. And still ahead this morning, Richmond, north of Richmond, has catapulted singer Oliver Anthony to internet superstardom. But the side effects of fame have Anthony canceling his own concert.
And also highlights from Thursday's Eagles-Vikings matchup. We are still flying high on the return of football season, and so was a certain quarterback who had himself a huge night and a huge game. Straight ahead.
Every community has a voice.
When you bring together a team of people who understands the heartland, you get such a diverse perspective.
That's why we're News for All America.
Morning in America. Weekday mornings at 6/5 Central on NewsNation.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices. DuckDuckGo comes with a built-in search engine, but it doesn't spy on your searches. And our browser blocks creepy ads that follow you around from Google and other companies. And it's free. Download DuckDuckGo today.
Start Saturday strong with Big Noon Saturday. Quarterback Drew Aller leads Penn State.
Oh, my goodness!
Against Illinois in a Big Ten battle.
Oh, what a catch!
Here we go. All part of Big Noon Saturday on Fox.
Oh, what a good time we will have. You can make it happen again.
Now try new dietary supplements from Voltaren for healthy joints.
Dry skin is sensitive skin too, and it's natural. Treat it that way with Aveeno Daily Moisture. Formulated with nourishing prebiotic oat, it's clinically proven to moisturize dry skin for 24 hours. Aveeno.
Introducing New Starry Lemon Lime Soda. Music to my ears.
You don't have ears.
Starry, it's different.
Ooh, stuffed up again?
So congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Just Sinex? Breathe. What is... Wow. Sinex? Breathe. Ah.
With thyroid eye disease, I hid from the camera, and I wanted to hide from the world. For years, I thought my TED was beyond help. But then, I asked my doctor about Tepezza.
Tepezza is the only medicine that treats TED at the source, not just the symptoms. In a clinical study, more than 8 out of 10 patients taking Tepezza had less eye bulging. Tepezza is an infusion. Patients taking Tepezza may have infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you experience high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. Before getting Tepezza, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant. Tepezza may raise blood sugar even if you don't have diabetes, and may worsen IBD such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
Now, I'm ready to be seen again.
Visit mytepezza.com to find a TED eye specialist and to see Bridget's before and after photos.
ACC football on the CW continues when the Keydets of VMI go on the road to NC State to face the vaunted Wolfpack defense. VMI NC State this Saturday at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific on the CW.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
So football season is back, baby, and the Philadelphia Eagles are off to a flying start, improving to 2-0 with a 34-28 win over the Minnesota Vikings Thursday night. I know a lot of you probably tuned into this. Quarterback Jalen Hurts threw for 193 yards and a touchdown, plus ran for 2 more. DeAndre Swift ran for a career high of 175 yards and a score in the win as well. The Eagles at 2-0 take on the Tampa Bay Bucks next Monday night. The Vikings are 0-2 heading into next Sunday's game with the Chargers. Well, a rising country folk musician, Oliver Anthony, who's become really famous after his song Richmond, North of Richmond went viral, is now in a very public feud with the Tennessee venue hosting him over the price of their tickets. Brooke Schaefer with the story.
This has really been a lot of back and forth between the singer and the venue he was supposed to play. The singer arguing the prices for his tickets were just too high.
Drag back home and drown my troubles away.
Social media sensation Oliver Anthony canceled his show at a Knoxville nightclub when the venue charged $99 for tickets to the show that was supposed to happen later this month. Anthony argued the tickets should have been way less than that, costing actually about $25, not $99. He posted a video on social media telling his fans not to buy the expensive tickets.
I feel like I'm getting cornered doing stuff that I don't want to do in the first place. And I'm very adamant about $25 to $40 ticket prices. I think even 40 is a little bit high. I think $25 tickets will cover our expenses. We'll still get enough money to pay our bills.
Some artists and venues have wanted to crack down on how people resell their tickets, though consumer groups argue that buyers are allowed to do whatever they want with the tickets they have purchased. This artist, though, in Tennessee, going as far as telling his fans not to buy expensive tickets. Back to you.
Yeah, not surprised, especially after listening to that song. It's very on brand for him. Brooke, thank you. Coming up next, Hunter Biden slapped with felony gun charges as the presidential race heats up with that indictment that came down yesterday. We are unpacking the legal and political ramifications of this developing story. Plus, thousands of United Auto workers are now on strike this morning, bringing assembly lines to a halt, a screeching halt. So we're live outside a Michigan Ford plant with a look at the growing picket lines, and we speak with Michigan Senator Gary Peters about the job action. And hey, if you're headed to work and jumping in the car this morning, take us with you. You can now listen to News Nation while you're on the go, heading to work, going to school. Just open the News Nation app, click listen. It's free, no need to sign up, and we are available 24 hours a day.
I'm Sherry.
I'm John. I'm a pharmacist. As we were starting to age, it's like, well, how can we help our cognitive abilities? We saw Prevagen. I did read the clinical study and went ahead and gave it a try. I feel that Prevagen is helping me with overall clarity, and as a pharmacist, I've recommended it to not only just customers, but also to friends and family as a safe product to try.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
I used to think all doctors were the same. Then I switched to Oak Street Health. You see, this isn't your typical doctor's office. Instead of waiting around for me to get sick, they focus on keeping me healthy and feeling good. Hey, still got it.
Zion. No sugar, right?
And the best part, everyone at Oak Street Health is experienced with people my age.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you with a focus on keeping you healthy. So don't wait. Call today.
Zion, we're ready for you.
Here people get to know me the old-fashioned way.
By listening.
This guy takes all the notes, so my doctor is all eyes on me, and I'm never rushed out.
Ready to go?
We get to know you better with longer appointment times, including same-day and next-day appointments.
Everyone gets their own personal care team. And whether it's doctors, nurses, social workers, mental health support, even someone to help me understand my Medicare benefits, they all work together for me, myself, and I. Not to mention a 24/7 patient support line.
We customized a plan for him, and we can do the same for you.
Getting the care you need has never been easier because our team members work together to handle all your healthcare needs.
And you get all this with no extra cost. They even gather all your medical records and health history. So switching to their doctors is easy. And you can keep living your life your way.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you. Call 800-637-1959 to schedule a visit and see why we are the only primary care provider to carry the AARP name. Oak Street Health.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily Jardiance at each day start. As time went on, it was easy to see I'm lowering my A1C.
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too. Jardiance may cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to a sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction, and don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardiance with the sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Jardiance is really swell, the little pill with the big story to tell.
Well, it's been a doozy of a week, and we certainly don't condone taking a snooze at work, but a new poll says that a quarter of Americans admit to needing to nap not during the day. They need to nap on the job in order to get through
I'm
the work
wondering
week.
what those supervisors think about that. Apparently, the most popular day to score a nap on the clock is Wednesday. 9:39 a.m. is the most common time. 26% of people say they've even brought a pillow to work to make things a bit more comfortable while sleeping at that desk. Now, we've had an...
9:39, though. Can we talk about that for a second? Hadn't your workday just started?
Not 9:35, but 9:39.
9:39.
Yeah, there you go.
We've got questions. I
Anyway,
digress.
We've had an action-packed week here on Morning in America, from honoring 9/11 to NewsNation's exclusive town hall with former Vice President Mike Pence, even talking how math is hard with actress Danica McKellar.
Yeah, we've had some big guests this week. We don't want you to miss a thing, but just in case you did, here's a taste of the fun.
On September 11th, 2001, our nation was changed forever.
It's all about remembering those innocent men and women who died here. We will not live in a country of fear. We are strong. We are resilient.
Vicki, I've been eager to have you on because you are a straight shooter from Queens.
Thank you. And thank you for realizing that I am a straight shooter from Queens.
Right now, we have breaking news out of Pennsylvania. Police have found and arrested convicted murderer who had escaped from a Pennsylvania prison 2 weeks ago.
Several sources saying that Danilo Cavalcante is in custody.
Astronaut Frank Rubio has set the record for longest U.S. spaceflight mission.
The new report out there, it shows that more than 70,000 child care programs will likely have to close down.
Former Vice President Mike Pence made his pitch to voters right here on Wednesday night as part of a town hall.
I intend to be the Republican nominee for President of the United States.
Novak Djokovic is rewriting the history books with his 24th major title after winning the men's U.S. Open. And he sit there and I'm like, I don't want to look, I don't want to jinx anybody. Like,
you're watching like this the whole time.
I just kind of blacked out and went for it and just gave it my all, and it was just an incredible experience.
And were you the one on set with your other co-stars who were helping them with homework?
I actually struggled in math in middle school. When you fall behind and there's something you can't do, there's shame and there's fear, and it's like, no, let's shake that off. My next book, Kiss My Math.
NSYNC walking onto the stage to present the Best Pop Award. People would love to see them doing those strings attached.
Wouldn't that be cool if they came together in 2024?
Absolutely.
Like a residency in Vegas or something?
A geriatric tour.
A slight delay. You always come up with some line that takes me a moment. We've had fun.
You make me feel comfortable, so it's a lot of fun to sit here with you. So it's relaxing. It's a good time. So definitely.
We've had some great moments this week. Thanks to all of you for being along for the ride, too. We get to do it all over again come Monday morning, which is National Cheeseburger Day.
That's right.
So we might have some
I think we're going to be grilling up some stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, we have more news for All America coming up in our last hour. Starts right now.
It's a shame we've got to be out here right now.